Now, 95.9 FM WATD presents Friends with Benefits, exploring relationships, social issues, and life stories. Friends with Benefits, with your host, Brian Stratton.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around.
You're listening to 95.9 WATD, Friends with Benefits, the Music Spotlight Series. We have on the hot seat tonight, we have Mike Love of the Beach Boys, an original founding member of this great band. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great.
Now, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight. Let's talk a little bit about you're coming to town in about a week. You're going to Cohasset and you're going to Hyannis. And as I'm looking, it looks like it's this coming Saturday night.
Right, and the Friday night we'll be up at the casino in Hampton Beach.
Oh, that's a great venue. That's always a great venue. Now, why don't we talk a little bit, start with who you're touring with, and is this unit been together for a while? And I certainly know Mr. Cowsill on the drums, because I've been a fan of Mr. Cowsill's for a long time. Boy, that guy probably was born with drumsticks right out of the womb. Boy,
I think he was 6 or 7 years old when he started playing drums with the family group, the Cowsills, and he's just an amazing drummer. He lives and breathes it. And talk about multitasking, John Cowsill will do a song of ours called Wild Honey towards the end of our show, most likely in the encore, begin the encore with it. And we haven't done it in years, but it was on the original recording, it was sung by Carl Wilson, my cousin Carl, but he passed away 15 years ago, February.
Yes.
So, but John he just does such a fantastic job on that song and anything else he touches. You know, he's a great singer as well as a very accomplished drummer, and he takes the music so seriously. He along with our musical director, Scott Totten, who plays lead guitar and is our music director, they've gotten our band in better shape, musically and vocally than we've been in years, due to the accuracy and the care that they've taken. You can approximate things and sound great, but when you're absolutely spot on, with the arrangements and all the things musically that you need to be, you can close your eyes during one of our concerts, and if we're playing California Girls, it's like 1965 all over again.
There's absolutely no question about that. And it's funny because John Cowsill came from such a great heralded musical family with so much talent. And they just actually had a documentary on Showtime about the Cowsills' history. I don't know if you got to see that.
I have not seen that. I know that people show up at all our concerts with Cowsill albums and hoping for an autograph, and he signs about a dozen of them per show.
And I'll tell you, it was amazing to me to watch that because I'm kind of a musical historian. I'm only in my 40s, and it was a little bit before my time. But John Cowsill on the drums at age 8, 9, 10, whatever it was a monster on this documentary. They showed live clips of the Cowsills, and these were live. They were actually playing their instruments, not to recorded tracks, and he was a monster. So, I mean, as Mike, as you well know, the foundation of a rhythm section is the drums and the bass.
Sure. So
you right now have such a solid, let's call it the glue of the band intact now.
We're very fortunate to have John with us, and both vocally and as a drummer who really cares about the shows, puts every ounce of energy into it. It's a good heart, he gives it his all every night. I can't understand how he can play the drums that dynamically, that powerfully, and sing a really flat-out rock song at the same time, like the song Wild Honey. But he does it, and he does it fantastic.
Yep, some guys just have that extra dimension to them that they can make that happen. But now, moving over to the rest of your band, now, how many pieces are you going out with at this point with the Beach Boys?
There are 7 of us on stage, including the guy that plays the bass. You referenced the drums and bass. Well, the bass player is Randell Kirsch, who is a longtime musician and friend, and he's played with me in various bands over the years, because we've done shows from time to time with, we'll call it Mike Love, the Beach Boys, or Mike Love and the California Beach Band. And, it's not as expensive an undertaking, like if there's a corporation that needs to have some entertainment but can't quite afford the Beach Boys, but we'll do almost, all of the Beach Boys songs without Bruce, who's been a long-time member since he joined the band in 1965.
Sure.
Brian Wilson retired from touring with the Beach Boys in 1964. He was having, emotional issues about being away, and so Glenn Campbell took his place for about 6 months, and then Bruce Johnson. I asked him, did he know anybody who could play bass and sing high? And so he actually learned. He's a keyboard player, but he learned the bass within days, and enough to play our set list and sing the falsetto part. That's so vital to our vocal arrangements. So that was pretty amazing. So Bruce has been primarily with us since that time, 1965. In fact,
it looks like the audition stuck. Looks like he won himself a spot.
It was the first song that he ever sang with us.
Sure. And we're speaking with Mike Love of the legendary pop group the Beach Boys. Now, Mike, you guys have gone through, obviously, it's been 50 years. Now it's more like 51 years, I guess.
Well, our first song called Surfin' came out in the fall of 1961.
That's right. You have when I saw you in concert a little ways back, you mentioned something about having music in 5 decades.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know exactly. Tell the audience what that, and the listeners, what that's about.
Well, 5 decades of music. The neat thing is that the songs we've done primarily from the 60s. That was the heyday of the Beach Boys, as well as the Beatles, and and the Motown acts. So we had some really great companies and phenomenal music from that era. And to this day, many of those songs and some of those groups are still, still active and doing well. I mean, we've lost several people as well, ourselves included. Dennis Wilson passed away in 1983, and his brother Carl in 1998 in February. And so we've had our tragedies along the way, but the thing that sustained us has always been the tremendous audience response to the Beach Boys music. And I've been the lead singer on so many of the songs because my cousin Brian and I would sit down and write them. And I guess because I was writing with him, it would be done in the range which I'd sing the lead, and he would do the tremendous great arrangements and tracks and stuff. I would do mostly the lyrics and the concepts and a lot of times the hooks. And so because of that, the fact that I'm the lead singer on so many things, and the fact that I started out with cousin Brian writing in 1961, and we wrote so many of these great hits. I mean, there is a certain element of authenticity or whatever you might call it when we're doing our shows, because when I'm singing the lead on I Get Around or Fun 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 or Little Do Scoop or 409 or California Girls or any of those songs, what with the attention to the structure and the harmonies and stuff, they really come alive, and it's as if there may have been 5 decades go by, but we're still getting great feedback, great audience responses, and a lot of great compliments. So it's a blessing that what started out as a hobby with
right.
my cousins, Brian and his brothers, and so on. It's become a profession and a lifelong, long-lasting, successful one at that.
Well, I'd have to say that's an understatement. The Beach Boys being probably, it's got to be in the top 3 in the American history of record sales for a band. It's got to be maybe even higher than that. And what an accomplishment for a family, a bunch of kids from California, putting together. But you created a very unique sound that it seemed like after you created it, there were some imitators out there and people trying to emulate what the Beach Boys were doing. And some were successful for a song or two, but as the Beach Boys history goes on, we see toward the late 60s or mid 60s, you change your music, you change your approach, you change instrumentation, and you become almost avant-garde in a way.
That is true. Like the song Good Vibrations is still avant-garde, and it came out in 1966. On the strength of Good Vibrations, which is quite a departure musically from, fun, and I Get Around and Help Me Rhonda. Nonetheless, it was great, and I wrote the words to it, and I came up with I'm picking up good vibrations, she's giving me the excitation, that chorus line. And Brian did the structure, the harmonies, and the arrangement and stuff, and the tracking. Used a cello in it, used a theremin in it. There are some innovative approaches to rock or pop music that Cousin Brian was delving into and had done just prior to that with the Pet Sounds album, with a lot of orchestration with very symphonic type of instrumentation. So and you could hear it coming, the prelude of that coming when I think in the intro of California Girls. It's almost there's something happening there that you can tell that there's a musical transformation or evolution taking place.
Well, there's no question you don't hear much about the theremin anymore in modern music, but it's good to see that you guys explored and basically went from beach music to some pretty sophisticated arrangements, which you just generally don't see in those kind of bands, especially coming out of the early 60s, moving their way into. Of course, the Beatles, stretched their muscles out and did their thing. But once again, you're listening to Mike Love of the supergroup The Beach Boys. Mike, what was it like with the 50th anniversary and the homecoming of your original founding members for you personally?
It was great to see that we could all get together again, put aside our individual pursuits. My cousin Brian has a really good band and has been doing stuff for maybe a decade and a half or so, his own touring and stuff, and Alan Jardine has his own group, and I of course had Bruce and I and John Cowsill and my son Christian and the guitarist Scott Totten and Randall Kirsch the bassist, Tim Bonhomme from Canada on the keyboards, and we have a great time, carrying the Beach Boys torch. But it was nice to put everything aside and get together and celebrate together 50 years. So
sure. Now,
mainly I think it was great for the fans that appreciated coming out to see us all together, and it was also good to get in the studio and listen to some of the harmonies coming back. It sounded a lot like it always did, like in 1965. We weren't doing anything tremendously avant-garde, but it was reminiscent of those days back in 64, 65, when we were doing something like California Girls. So we did. The only thing that I lament or regret is that originally I was told that I'd be able to get together and write songs with Brian, but that was not to be. I was not. I don't know. It just didn't happen that way, and that to me that was disappointing because I would have liked to have gotten around the piano with Brian and started from scratch. But what happened is these songs were done by Brian and others, and I was maybe given a line here or there to write. Write.
I understand. Yes.
So that's different, and that's not what was presented to me originally. So that was disappointing to me. So by and large, it was great to get together, but there were a couple of disappointments along with that too. Well, so the other thing is, some people think that you can go out and do a big production tour like that and just keep going forever, and it's not true. But tickets are so expensive. The production is so expensive that it's not the kind of thing where you can go ad infinitum. In fact, the Don Law, who's a big-time promoter in Boston, came to the show last year, and he said, "This is great, guys. It was sold out and everything, and the band sounded great." He said, "Well, maybe a couple more years we can have you back." You know? So he, being a sophisticated guy who's been in that Boston northeast area for so many years.
Oh, sure, over 30, 35 years, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Long-time promoter. He knew, just right off the bat, that it's not a thing he can, keep doing every year at the same level. So,
well, it seems like there was some disconnect between you and maybe Brian and Al with that. In regard to that, I mean.
Well, yeah, because there was 50 shows agreed on for 50 years, and it morphed into 73. But it was all determined, and everybody agreed to do X amount of shows, and it was contractually committed. And so a lot of the things that came out were not accurate or not truthful or not, and so there was some misunderstandings therefore. But it's actually has a term to it, and everybody committed to X amount of dates, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It's just that I'm with Don Law when I say you can't do it every year. Yeah.
Well, I don't think you can expect the same success year after year. You came out after so long as a unit, and of course that's a very special thing. Not only just with production and all that, but even fan interest. I mean, I know fans will be interested year after year, but I think it's much more effective when you put some space in between it.
Well, yeah, it's more special.
Right, and it's more of an event.
The thing is, with that kind of expensive show, there's only so many venues can afford to have you, and we really, I love going to to Cohasset and Hyannis and doing those theaters in the round. They're it's kind of like a throwback, and I like going up to the Hampton Beach Casino. We did that in the mid '60s, and it's still there, and people have a great time. It's not 50,000 people, but it's maybe 2,000 having a great time, and everybody can see and hear, and it's not inordinately expensive. So and it's if you're a musician, you like to perform, and you don't want to be subject only to the bigger venues every 3 years, because and that's how you keep a really good band together, is by performing.
And of course, the South Shore Music Circus and the Cape Cod Melody Tent and the Hampton Beach Casino are very intimate venues where it's almost like you're on top of your audience, and vice versa.
Yeah, and in the dressing room, we're on top of each other.
Oh, you don't have to tell me that, Mike. I've been there very many times in the backstage area. It's very. Let's put it this way: quaint and in closed quarters.
That's a nice way to put it, quaint.
And in closed quarters, of course. But at the end of the day, I think at this stage of the Beach Boys' career, these kind of venues are wonderful, but it's not so bad every 5 years or whatever is the time allocated to it to play the bigger venues with maybe some of the original members, if that works for everybody's schedule. Like you said, it's a daunting task to put together that kind of production. There's no question. A lot of practice involved, a lot of, and that's another thing is when you come back with the original members, you don't always want to be pumping out the same set list year after year after year. You want to modify from that. You want to alter it a little bit, and that takes time and effort. So people out there that don't know about that need to be educated about that, because it's not such an easy task. Now let's go off to another task. Made in California, a box set coming out.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I met with the people who put it together, and two guys principally that really took the time and energy at the direction of Capitol Records to go through, pretty much the entire recorded recordings of the Beach Boys' career, and trying to select stuff that's representative from different albums, different eras, and to the point where there's even some unreleased tracks, one of which we're doing on our show now. It's called Going to the Beach. We recorded it sometime around there was an album called Keeping the Summer Alive, which was done in the late 70s. And around that time of recording, we recorded this song that I wrote and Bruce produced, and all the guys are singing on it. Sounds great, and we're doing it live in concert, and it's really catchy, and it goes really well, I believe, with Surfing USA. Going to the beach into Surfing USA. Oh, what could be more, coherent or cogent?
Well, it certainly is congruent, I'll tell you that.
Congruent, too, yeah. Anyway, it makes sense to me. Anyway, so I'm having a great time singing it. It's a catchy little song, and I think it's great to be able to do something new. I mean, at least when I say new, I mean newly released.
Sure. No, of course, to keep it fresh a little bit. Sure.
So we've got some unreleased things, a compilation of many. Well, there's 6 CDs, I think, on it. So there's a tremendous amount of music. You better be prepared to have a long weekend.
We'll take a long drive. Yes, no question. Well, that's exciting to hear. I wanted to know how John Stamos wormed his way into the Beach Boys, because I wanted that gig. I mean, I've got rhythm. I've got plenty of rhythm. Now, how did this guy get? I don't have the dimples, but I got the rhythm. So how did John Stamos?
Yeah, well, he has a mullet, though.
Yeah, not anymore.
Well, he did on Jimmy Fallon the other night.
Did he really? I didn't see that.
30 million people did.
Oh boy, I'll have to YouTube that.
But Jesse and the Rippers.
Oh, he's back to that thing, huh?
Yeah.
No. So does he still? Do you guys still? Wait a minute. I think I saw something on YouTube with you and Don Felder somewhere singing "Hotel California."
Well, I was invited by John Stamos to go to Gibson Guitar place in Beverly Hills. And Don was there. He did Hotel California and a blues song, and then he sat in with us on a couple of Beach Boys songs, too.
Right.
Really cool guy and fantastic player, obviously.
Oh, are you kidding me? Don Felder, he's that signature electrical guitar sound of the Eagles for so many years, and pretty good writer in his own frame, as you know.
Yeah.
He wrote the harmonic structure to Hotel California.
Right, he sure did.
Which is, which anybody can't deny that's one of the best pop songs of the 70s coming out of that.
Not chopped liver, I'd say.
Absolutely not. But I liked that spot. I thought you did a nice job. You were in there and putting in your 2 cents, and John Stamos was over there, and I was saying to myself, how did this guy get this gig? Was it the dimples?
What? He was Blackie on General Hospital when he came out and sat in with us on stage in Washington, D.C. I think it was 1985. So he's been around for quite a while, and his birthday is August 19th.
Oh, because he's a Leo, yeah.
So he's going to be 50 years old. And
oh, my God.
Yeah, and I announce when he comes out and does shows with us, and he loves playing drums, and that's his first love. Before he became an actor, he was a drummer.
Okay.
And he likes to incorporate music into his TV world, which he has done. And was rather notoriously recognized for that as Jesse and the Rippers the other night on Jimmy Fallon.
You got to check that out. That must be on YouTube by now.
Anyway, he's been coming out and sitting in and playing with us for many years now, since '85. So.
Okay, well, he's got a good gig with you guys. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no kidding. And we do be true to your school, and he hams it up on the drums, and I say it came out in 1963, and he'll say, that was the year I was born.
Nice.
And I will say, and then I say, well, you don't have to remind me about that, John. Your mom and I had some great times.
Oh, jeez.
So it's a Yo Mama's joke, which is not true, but it's funny. And,
no.
So we have a really fun time, on stage together.
Now, the last couple questions here. You're listening to Mike Love, legendary lead singer of the Beach Boys. And you're listening to Friends with Benefits with Brian Stratton. Now, moving forward, do you think you'll ever have any sort of musical collaboration with Brian Wilson again as a writer, as a writing team?
Well, that, as I mentioned earlier, that was the one thing that I regretted not coming to fruition.
Well, was it bad timing? I mean, or was it just, I don't
know what it was exactly, except that I had a conversation with Brian before we even started all the 50th stuff. This was a couple of years ago. He wanted to do an album of, he wanted to do some rock and roll covers, some of the songs that both he and I really liked a lot, and but that was not to be. Instead, that's why I made the radio album was done, came out. So nowhere along the way did he get his apparent desires, the ones he told me, nor did I get a chance to sit down and write with him from scratch. So, but if we were ever able to get in a space where that was doable, I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be good because our natures, we go back to childhood. I've known him all his life.
Now the question is, do you guys live...
And 2 months less than I've known him.
Sure. Now, do you guys live in proximity of each other?
Yeah, well, I don't think that's the issue. It's just a matter of if he's busy doing what he's doing and I'm busy doing what I'm doing. Sure. It's a question of just making time for that kind of thing. But were it to be possible to get together, I think writing with Brian just comes naturally.
Well, I'm sure you have millions and millions and millions of fans that totally agree with that. Mm-hmm. So we'd like to thank you so much, Mike Love, for being on our show, Friends with Benefits, tonight here on WATD 95.9. And we'll remind the listeners next week, it's Saturday night, August 16th and 17th, you'll be in Cohasset. No, I'm sorry, you'll be in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire first.
On the Friday. On
the Friday. And then Cohasset and Hyannis that weekend.
Saturday afternoon, Hyannis. Saturday evening, Cohasset.
So you guys you're pulling off a double.
Yeah.
Which you used to do at the one venue, but now you're doing it, which I think that's kind of unique. I mean, do you take a nap on the way from one place to another? That's a pretty tiring day.
No, but I'll meditate. Once I get to the second place, I'll just close my eyes and do my transcendental meditation, which I've been doing since December of '67 when I learned from Maharishi. So that's a big benefit because you can drop your metabolism to a level of rest twice as deep as deep sleep, which is very not only relaxing but restful, and so it gives you more energy and clarity. So yeah, that's my secret weapon.
I think that's your fountain of youth, Mike Love.
Yeah.
I really believe that. And by the way, I love Kevin Love too.
Oh yeah, my nephew Kevin,
the famous NBA basketball player.
Just kidding.
No, I mean, listen, I was a fan of his back when he was with UCLA as a freshman, and I knew that kid would be something special. And
oh yeah,
you know what? He hasn't hurt the family name by any means.
No, not at all. And poor guy, he's haunted by the beach with when he did Mike and Mike in the morning on ESPN. They kept playing in and out. They'd play Wouldn't It Be Nice or Good Vibrations or California Girls or something, So he has to answer to his Uncle Mike questions,
Well, it's not only that, is when they were announcing UCLA games at midnight on the East Coast, and they'd have UCLA against, Kansas or whatever, they'd always have Beach Boys references within the games, which I loved it. I loved it.
Pretty cool.
It was really, it really.
Well, we got to see him in the Olympics over in Spain,
Oh,
that was awesome.
Yes,
the Olympic pre-games, they played against Spain and Barcelona. We were playing in Barcelona. He came to our show the day after, I think, that we went and saw him do his thing. So that was a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you, he's turned into one of the best NBA players all around there is today in the sport. So we love him, of course, in Massachusetts, as you guys love him. On the West Coast, as the Minnesota Timberwolves love him. So everybody loves him, I guess.
Yeah, well, he carries himself really well. He's a nice guy. He's very, he's a gentleman about
very grounded individual. Absolutely
smart about the game.
Well, that's and that's a good way to end this conversation. Listen, Mike, thanks for having us on Friends with Benefits tonight, and good luck this weekend. And we look forward to the Made in California box set coming out.
Thanks a lot.
All right, you're listening to 95.9 WATD.
Hey, this is Ted Nugent celebrating the American dream on Friends with Benefits with my buddy Brian Stratton on 95.9 WATD.
My name is Chris Kelly, owner of Duxbury Motor Works, and I've been in the automotive service industry for about 20 years.
My name's Joe Dio. I'm partners with Chris at Duxbury Motor Works. People might know me as a former general manager of Green Automotive.
We are the dealer alternative.
It was an idea that Chris and I both had after working in the dealership environment. We want to be the friend in the business that everyone might say they have and feel comfortable, get your vehicle serviced by people that you can get to know and trust.
We fix everything at Duxbury Motor Works. If it has wheels and a motor, bring it to us.
We warranty everything that we do for 3 years, 36,000 miles. We do a full check over on every vehicle that comes in from stem to stern. We let you know what your vehicle is going to need now and also what might be coming up that we can see.
We help them prioritize in terms of what is important to do now for safety reasons and the things that can wait for budget concerns.
Duxbury Motor Works, 1474 Tremont Street in Duxbury, right at the corners of 3A and 139. Call us at 781-452-7471.
The law office of Philip M. Markella is a full-service law firm with a focus on family and divorce law. When your marriage dissolves, Phil's office will help you navigate those often rough waters. They'll represent your interests with respect and compassion. The law office of Philip M. Markella also assists with estate planning, real estate transactions, and adoptions. Get in touch with the law office of Philip M. Markella, 19 Depot Street, Duxbury. Their telephone number, 781-934-7977, 781-934-7977, and on the web at markellalaw.com. That's MARKELLA law.com. Experience the Atlantis Sports Club difference. Atlantis Sports Club and Spas are located throughout Massachusetts, including locations in Braintree, Holbrook, and Hyannis, featuring state-of-the-art cardiovascular and strength training equipment, plus indoor and outdoor pools and full-service spas. Atlantis offers something for everyone. How about Zumba, spinning, and strength training classes, swim lessons for the kids, or a luxurious spa treatment? Your Atlantis membership allows access to all locations. Atlantis Braintree, located off the highway across from the South Shore Plaza, features beautiful indoor and outdoor pools. You'll find the newest Holbrook location next to Stop and Shop with plenty of parking and a spacious floor plan. Take a mini vacation at Atlantis Sports Club and Spa in Hyannis. Play golf, then relax by the resort-style pool. End the day with a relaxing treatment at the spa at Atlantis. Mention this ad and receive 20% off any spa treatment. Experience the Atlantis difference today. Visit AtlantisSportsClubs.com and book your tour today.
Hey, it's Brian Stratton, and I'd like to talk to you about Mamma Mia's Restaurant. With 5 convenient locations around the South Shore, you don't have to drive far to enjoy delicious Italian cuisine, just the way you like it. Whether you're in Carver, Plymouth, Hanover, Kingston, or the new location in Green Harbor, Mamma Mia's is something to please any palate. Catering, gift cards, and takeout are available 7 days a week. Contact Mamma Mia's online at mamamias.net. That's mamamias.net. All right, we're back. 95.9 WATD, Friends with Benefits. The charming Mike Love from the Beach Boys. A great interview. I love Mike. Everybody loves Mike. Everybody loves Mike.
Love him. Love him.
He's a classic, and looking forward to this. What is it? August 16th and 17th, right, Rob?
I believe it's Saturday night.
Saturday, WATD night at South Shore Music Circus.
It's going to be a great night. Yeah, it's Saturday night, and Dave Skill and Bill Wilhelm will be there with their Hawaiian shirts with the WATD winners that won tickets.
And their beer bellies. Okay,
it's going to be a great night.
Idea.
It's a chance to reminisce and really just enjoy the music and the memories.
Really? Would Dom Cardelli make an appearance, you think? Because that
possibly,
might be somebody from...
although the Beach Boys are kind of new for him.
Oh, really? That was...
When you think about it.
All right. That makes sense. I want to say hello to the roundtable. That was, of course, Rob Hackala. But we have Paul Kearney of Atlantis Sports Clubs. Hey.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, love to have you. And Hugh Barndollar.
How you doing, Brian? Always good to be back.
It's good to see you too, Hugh. So we're all excited about these Beach Boys coming here. They're a little bit beyond the boy status now, and they're pushing their 60s and 70s. But
I remember when they were a new band.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was way. Yeah.
Come on.
Sure. Well, Hugh Barndollar goes way back. Way back. Been around.
But I'll tell you, these guys have hits in 5 decades. They have music. I'm sorry, not hits. Music in new music in 5 decades. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2K, in 2K, like 2010.
That's a lot of math.
Well,
Brian.
they have a new box set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's move on to grander pastures here. Like last week, we had some things going on the show. We talked about secrets in relationships, what should be revealed and what shouldn't be revealed between husbands and wives, boyfriends and girlfriends, engaged couples, just people who are in committed relationships. And I know going from the Beach Boys to this is kind of a smooth transition here, but speaking of relationships, most of those guys have been married 4 times, but that's not a bad thing though, guys.
I had a tough week, actually, Brian. You know, Mrs. Barndollar was secretly looking at my texts, having fun. How's that for a segue? And, you know, I thought it was very disturbing that Mrs. Barndollar just thought she could sort of dive in. This is after 30 years of marriage. Think she could just dive into my cell phone, start looking at my texts, which, you know.
Is this a true story?
It is a true story, and it's not like I'm up to no good. I thought the whole thing was kind of ridiculous. I figured that she trusted me more than that, but.
Wow. So does that happen to you, PK?
No, we talked about that last week.
We did talk about, but people are intrigued. I've gotten emails at, by the way, CTA management at rocketmail.com. And by the way, we do have a couple of gift certificates to give away to Mamma Mia's, Burton's Grill, $25 gift certificates. Please send in on the subject heading, put either Mamma Mia's or Burton's Grill, and we'll give you one of those. But anyways, PK was just talking about last week, because we did have a lot of replies and email exchanges about people's opinions. PK.
To trust them or not to trust them. We talked about like if someone's going to check your text, or if you mind that if they check your phone records, and we all pretty much agreed it's fine if you have nothing to hide,
or you have a good excuse already made up.
Yeah, like
Tiger.
Yeah.
You generally you
should have got his excuses.
You land on your feet. Tiger had his excuses.
Yeah, but
we do have a little segment on one of our segues where it has Tiger talking. My wife got my phone.
Oh yeah, left it on the answering machine. That's another thing.
Isn't that great? By the way, Tiger, he should have consulted the authority on this matter, which is not me, of course, but somebody that you don't leave text messages. Or a phone message. That's such a paper trail. Yeah, I mean that now 80 million people or whatever. Probably much more than that.
We talked about, like, the other thing is, when you are you the type of person that wants to check up on your significant other? And if you are that type, you know, what kind of type are you? I mean, you paranoid, or you've been somebody that's been mistrusted before? And it always seems like people that are mistrusted or had a relationship with
there was a lack of trust, right?
That they seem to not get over it. And is that true? Do you see that with?
I see it a lot. What about you, Hugh?
Well, what kinds of things are okay to check? I mean, if you could talk about text messages, what about passwords to the internet? How about bank PIN numbers? Do you share those with your significant other? Are there other shared things?
No, that's the one thing that you keep. That's where the secrets start.
I've actually shared those with Mrs. Barndollar over the years.
Rob Hackler on his morning show shares it with his listening audience, don't you?
That's right.
And he was cleaned out 3 seconds later.
I gave my PIN number out, and I thought nobody would do that. And
it was just,
I realized my mistake.
It was just a gaffe, a lapse in temporary judgment.
I was able to make it up with a couple of extra shifts at Dairy Queen.
Absolutely. Well, Hugh, you're right about that. I mean, how far do you go?
How far do you go?
I mean, but, at the end of the day, here we are. We're all talking about this. But I think ultimately it all comes down to the individual couple, and is there a two-way communication, a line of positive communication?
Right.
The trusting thing, as well as I do.
Without
a coin
trust,
flip.
You don't have a relationship. You're not in a relationship. If you can't trust what's on there, then you're not in a trustful relationship. As far as I'm concerned.
May I say though, and I've heard this before, the only question that's a dumb question is the one that's not asked.
Okay.
It's very good.
Do you guys understand? I was waiting for Hugh to intercept me on that.
Well, I wanted you to take the...
you didn't know it. Come on, Hugh. Rob, have you ever heard that one?
No, I have heard that, Brian.
Yeah, the only dumb question is one that is not asked. I completely 100% concur with that statement. 100%. Because you cannot point your finger at somebody else for omission of information. Well, you can, but to a certain degree, if you are not asking questions at times, and I know that's uncomfortable for somebody like Paul, who's married. I mean, because, you can't just come out of nowhere and go, who are you talking to? Well, you don't do it in a confrontational way. You do it in a
secretive way.
No, not even a secretive way, in a way that you're not confronting. It's more of a conversational way. Like, I know you've done nothing wrong, but can I ask you something?
Right. Why are you over there texting to your friend Jane? I mean,
at
whatever.
2:30 in the morning, go into the bathroom and taking your cell phone with you.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if
seems a bit unusual.
I know.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
a
it's a
question
Facebook
you want to
post.
ask. Like,
maybe it's
why?
one of his Facebook posts. Taking a pee.
Who is that?
Taking a pee at 2:30. Taking a picture of the bathroom. You know how people do that.
Yeah, stop getting off that phone. Stop texting.
But you know
Okay.
what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, that's me.
I'm looking around like I know my
that's
kids are in the
Rob's
other room with the
sound
phone.
My sound effects.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
this guy's a producer too. He's not just
Or
a
is
guy.
it? Or is it? Or is it a text?
Who,
Or is
who's
it-
who keeps
or is it
texting
Paul's
you?
wives?
I don't know if we can trust him.
Hey, can we ask to see his text?
Well,
hey,
we
can
don't
you
want
throw
to-
him up there? I mean, there's
This
somebody
guy's a
trying
public
to...
figure. We don't
After the
wanna-
show.
Yes,
All right, I got to get back to this.
I know. So, Hugh,
great.
what do you think? What do you think, Hugh? Come on, man.
I think that the only question that is a bad question is the one that's never asked. And I'm surprised that you actually thought that, I didn't know where you were going with that.
Why were you prepared for
I think
that?
you underestimate me
I don't
as an
know.
intellectual.
Don't you guys completely concur with that statement?
I do.
I mean, you can't blame anybody else if you're not asking those questions. And they might be confrontational, oppositional, argumentative questions, but there's a way you can present it, and there's a way you can deliver it without...
without offending her. That's a great idea.
It has to.
And
It's not just an idea. I think it's mandatory.
And it's just being communicative.
Yes.
Like, I want to communicate with you. Why is this happening? Because, like you said, it's not a bad question. And it's how you approach the question. And if she does get confrontational about the question, then maybe there's something more to be desired.
Well, it's funny because a lot of females and even males do get, they get put off or they get taken aback at sometimes a hard question, or not even a hard question, one that they might think would be putting their integrity or dignity in question.
That's why refilling a glass of wine is always a good idea right before that question is asked.
Right.
How about while during the process?
Let me refill your glass there. Then now we have a question for you.
Why don't we just let her drink from the bottle while you're asking the
Exactly.
question?
With this brown bag bottle, there you go. Take a sip of that.
So, any other takes on that? Rob, what do you think about that statement? Do you think that statement has some merit in your mind?
No, I think I like where
You like
I
where I'm
agree where
going?
you're going. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, some people, I mean, really, there are some people that are emphatic about that, their privacy, even in relationships. They need their space. They need that private place.
I have a friend, actually, Brian, who, this is about 5 years ago.
It sounds like Jeff Cohen when he says that. I got a friend.
I
who-
got a friend. It's my only one, but he goes off
Yeah.
a couple. I don't know why I decided to do this, but he said he really wanted to get a radio-controlled airplane, which is a little bit different than the relationship issues that we're sort of thinking of. But
Oh,
he goes
oh,
off,
yes.
secretly takes a stash of money, gets a radio-controlled. This is an adult, by the way. Radio-controlled airplane.
Okay.
Spends I don't know how many hundreds of dollars on it. Immediately flies it into a tree and destroys it, and then has to hide it, in the closet, never to be found again by his wife, so that the money trail and the whole thing is unidentifiable.
Okay.
So,
Okay, but there have been other relationships definitely where one party, the man or the woman, might purchase something that the other doesn't know about, right?
I think it happens in every single relationship
is
out
that
there.
okay?
Well, it depends on the extent. If you're married, I think there has to be some communication, especially if both parties are working full time. Because that's now to me, and this is just the male chauvinist to me, I think if the man's making 100% of the money, he should have some flexibility there, just to go out and make a purchase.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a small aircraft. I'm talking about
It's a very
you know
small
what I mean.
aircraft, yeah.
If he goes and buys a I don't know, an upgrade cell phone. Well, that's going to be obviously scene. But if he goes buys a new set of golf clubs, say,
Okay.
and hides them at his work and goes golfing after work and then goes back to work and puts them.
Or
in
he
there.
hides golfing altogether. I think you got.
I've heard that before.
I think you got a good point, and it's just that when somebody, if the guy's the breadwinner, the woman's still the breadwinner as well, because
She's eating the bread.
but they're both. It's just a matter of money just coming in.
She's spending the bread.
And you should be able to be honest with your wife and tell her why you're going to spend money. And the thing is, you shouldn't have to sneak something unless you're spending ridiculous amount of money. And guys are doing that too. A lot of guys have like gambling problems.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's a good
they're
point.
hiding that money.
Absolutely.
They got these little secret
Slush
things.
fund. This little
Little slush funds.
Yes.
And it's okay to have a little slush fund, but if your kids are not going to, you can't make your child support payments, or you're not being the father that you
Yeah.
should be,
The
or
mortgage.
the mortgage, and
Yeah.
you're taking the cheap way out for everything. You don't have time to show. You don't have time to buy that plane.
So there's a difference maybe with a one-time purchase as opposed to
Yes.
something that's regularly going to be sucking money out on a regular basis
Right, the $50 here, $100 here. I mean,
to support my habit, whatever that is.
right.
right?
If you can afford the habit, then fine. If you can't afford,
That's
the
like
habit,
David Lee Roth said in the 80s. I don't have a drug habit. I can afford it just fine. No, he says, I don't have a drug problem. I don't have a problem with it. It's in my budget. I can afford the drugs.
Yeah, so I guess that's
Look
a
at
good-
him now. He looks like he's about 89 and shriveled up.
Yeah.
And
So he's older. He looks older than Don Cordelli.
he does.
Yeah, really.
It's the dehydration from the
Yeah.
drugs. That's what
That'll do it. I would think so.
blame it. Or the aspartame.
You know what's funny is as we're saying this, like anything that you are gonna probably hide from your wife is probably not good for you, anyways.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Well, karma-wise, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
it just screws up your chi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How about a secret place? Like you have like a secret car, and then you leave it in like you rent
Would your secret girlfriend in the
with
secret
a garage or something.
I would think
With really nice teeth.
I would think that would drive a woman crazy, though. If you're dating a guy who's just you can't trust, how could you just even want to be in that relationship?
It's funny because they feel like there's an emotional there's emotional place that once they get over that threshold, it's almost like they don't have control over their decision making. I know that sounds crazy, but there is an emotional place. I can't. There's like a threshold, and once they're over that threshold, and emotionally they get completely invested, and males too, by the way, it becomes hell.
Yeah, it just goes to remind me of the Hangover with the guy.
I knew
the
this
dentist. The dentist's girlfriend or gonna be wife.
Sure.
She was just controlling, and you're not doing this. You're not supposed to do that, and that would just drive me crazy.
I hated that movie. I thought that's
Really, they're just that part where they start. Your friends are immature, and they're like, "Come on, doctor, whatever." And they're out in the front. I thought that was.
Hugh.
There's actually a point that I want to make because, Paul, you were talking about bread earlier, and this goes off the subject a little bit, but I do want to know your opinion on this, is that in March, when the whole Wonder Bread industry was going downhill, making eggs one day, I went out and bought some bread. It was the last bread on the shelf. So I am hiding something because the woman at the counter said, I wouldn't eat that loaf of bread if I were you.
What?
And I said, why? And she said, it is the last loaf of Wonder Bread. So I've been hiding it in my freezer. Thinking it's going to be worth money. Is this
Well,
No, that's just a mental flaw.
Yeah,
That's not anything.
Yeah.
So I should eat the bread, or should I save it? Should I?
I think you should turn it into
eBay?
Yeah,
Yes,
like
put
Can we get emails on that?
Go to the CFL.
Sell
and
it
use
on
valuable?
eBay.
Yeah, eBay would be good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much you're gonna get for it.
And then it would have to be sent out.
Who
in
the hell eats white
refrigeration
bread
for-
anymore
Well, I
anyway?
didn't
I don't
really
know.
want to even buy it, and I thought, really, save it? Wonder Bread? I mean, it's not like it's Twinkies.
So you think it might be worth money?
No.
You
That
stick
was
it
the
in-
idea. That
Yeah,
she
the
said
Twinkie.
I
Because
wouldn't
people
eat
save
that
the
if I were you.
Twinkies. The Twinkies people would pay for, right?
Twinkies a cliche, though, at this point. Everybody's saving Twinkies. Nobody has a loaf of Wonder Bread. I have a loaf of Wonder Bread.
Wow.
Well-
Is Wonder out of business?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
I don't know if I'd feel comfortable if
guess
my
you can
wife
send
was
your
hiding
bids.
Wonder Breads. I'd
Yes.
be like, what? She's like, I didn't want you to know that. But
Well, what about-
I bought some Wonder
I
Bread.
want some
What
Wonder
about
Breads.
a wife or a girlfriend, a steady, or a man or a boyfriend or a husband that has friends from high school and college that you've been with, that you haven't met, but they have dialogue with, and routine exchanges with, and they keep them separate. Like it's like, oh yeah, you don't know this guy Eddie because I knew him in high school, and I know we communicate all the time through text. Is that how do you feel about that kind of thing?
Is it important to her? Has she stated that it's important to her to keep in touch with this person, and therefore should that be respected or not be respected?
Well, what if you're a person and you go and you actually just stumble upon it? She hasn't offered it to you. You kind of just.
Well, that's the thing. If it's been offered, I think it's probably okay. And if it
it's
hasn't been
offered up
offered,
front.
it means there's something duplicitous and secretive about it that maybe that's not a element of trust.
Right. Well, what about the statement, men and women can't be friends? Is this some belief?
This is When Harry Met Sally.
Well,
Credo.
it is, but I think it goes far beyond that.
Oh, there's definitely
what is that, Morse
truth to
code?
that. I have a lot of friends that are girls. I mean, you can always have friends that are girls.
Is the show going down?
No, we're okay.
I'm sorry.
Just kick the computer.
No, don't do that. All right, go ahead. Sorry, Paul.
No, it's all right. It's fine.
So,
it's just, I think you can have friends
So
that
do
are girls.
you have girls that you text right now, Paul Kearney, like routinely every week that are friends? Silence. No. Okay, because you probably feel it might be a little inappropriate in a way if you had like a bosom buddy, not a, you know what I'm saying, a bosom buddy that's
Tom Hanks?
female. No.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's appropriate to unless it's
Unless she's a friend of your wife's and they
Right.
communicate as freely as you do with her.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Like and I feel like the same thing with my wife. She wants to talk to one of my friends, that's fine.
Well, what about her friends? Like she has high school friends, guys.
Yeah.
Like if she was texting every week some guy named Eddie, and you don't know him, and you're not in the loop.
Yeah.
But she has this dialogue and exchanges. I think it's a little bit over the top.
I do too. I'm
think
lucky I don't. My
you don't.
wife doesn't do that.
Well,
so I mean,
she's in the right place.
Yeah,
but
well-
not all females or males are in the right place.
I would suggest that. Like, are we talking like you're in a serious committed relationship? and
Absolutely.
you-
After a year,
Yeah,
after
that, you
couple
don't do
years.
that. You just there's no reason to do that, especially if
Is
it's
it
an
worth
old
the
boyfriend.
gamble? Is
No.
it worth the gamble of the relationship?
No, and if you're not telling him about it, that's even worse. And then if he finds out about it, there's a trust issue. If you don't have trust, you don't have a relationship.
But what if they are telling you about it?
If they're telling
Well,
you about
sometimes it's a reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Something is going on, and they're telling you about it. You're just too stupid to read between the lines.
But on the other hand, you don't want to keep the other person in the relationship prisoner where they actually can't maintain relationships outside of your relationship if it is important to them. That might be an important...
Well, what's so important to have a relationship with another man besides me?
There's none. Absolutely, I think that should be
You don't
primary.
I wouldn't go anywhere else.
No,
I mean, you
so
don't
just
need-
look at him.
you just-
I mean, are you kidding me?
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's the
Got nice teeth.
That's the Atlantis Sports Club
Yeah,
touch.
Atlantis Sports Club
If you're in
will
Braintree,
make
that's-
that difference.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You won't want to cheat on it. No, I mean that says a lot, though. If you can have a girl or find a woman that would willing to give all those relationships up, as she should have when she started a relationship with you, that's the girl you want to be with.
And I'm
'Cause
not
it doesn't make that much important. That
I
and
agree
listen,
with Paul. I agree with him.
I mean, I
agree.
mean, yeah.
I don't think you give them up like 100%, like I'll never talk to you again, but maybe keep the exchanges or the emails or the texts a couple of years or whatever, just staying in touch in a nice, friendly way.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, how's your life? How's your life? Whatever. Every week or every couple of weeks or even every month.
2:30 in the morning.
2:30 in the morning, going to the bathroom with your cell phone.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's a little strange.
Yeah.
That's hypothetical. Who knows? But
And
I'm
I
sure
think
those situations happen.
But if it's like the best friend you grew up with in high school and you guys were like neighbors and friends and all that, and
Okay.
she's married, they're married, you're both married.
Oh, that's a little different.
Maybe something like that.
I
But
think
an
if
old
you're both-
boyfriend or something like that,
I've
that
definitely
goes
heard of
way
that,
up.
and that's common sometimes with people that grew up in a neighborhood.
in a neighborhood, I
and they're
agree.
more almost like brothers and sisters.
And that's
You
okay.
guys must, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
that's fine.
But as opposed to the other
Yes.
thing might be, like through a Facebook or a class reunion.
Put it this
Yes.
way: if they weren't in your wedding or went to your wedding, if you had a wedding,
Oh, that's right. If you wouldn't
that's a
invite
good-
them to your wedding.
if you wouldn't
Yeah.
invite them to your wedding, then
Wow.
you wouldn't. Then
You know what? And maybe you should tell them.
That's
Listen,
right.
I wouldn't even invite you to my wedding.
Right. Why
So
would I-
this is over. We're not. These texts are done.
Right, exactly. I think that's a good gauge on.
Yeah.
Because that way that just shows because you should be.
It shows you
allowed
where
to
they
have-
really stand in the pecking order of your life.
Right.
You know.
Right.
The wedding test.
Hugh feels it.
The pecking order of my life.
Yes.
But I still feel like if the communication is made where this relationship is an important one to maintain in my life, and that is clearly communicated, I think it's important to make sure that in a relationship that those outlets are there.
Well, between you and Mrs. Barndollar. So now, do you have girls that you talk to every single week and Mrs. Bardollar doesn't know who they are.
There were girls that talk to me every single week.
Well,
And
'cause
Mrs.
it's
Barndollar apparently, sneaking into my texts,
that's
which she doesn't have to do.
That's beachbody.com. That's what's done it for you.
That's right.
And I understand
That's
it.
It's
Shakeology. With Lee.
That's right.
By the way, if you want to learn about Shakeology, that's Lee. And I can't, Lee DeBona, I can't pronounce her last name. It starts with an H. She was on the show a couple weeks ago. Listen, go
It's
to...
like the Heimlich.
Yeah, go to CTA Management at rocketmail.com, and I'll tell you all about Lee. She does delicious shakes to get that beach body that Hugh is aspiring to, and, halfway there.
Right, which has just now got me into a lot of trouble.
You're not going to get that with frozen Wonder Bread. That won't do it for you.
That's right. And when you look like that.
That's why it's in the freezer.
Yeah.
But you're right. Scrolling through the text messages and admonishing you for what?
For nothing, really, nothing.
What did she say? Oh, what's this one? Yeah. What did she specify?
I have been loyal to Mrs. Barndollar for years. Totally dedicated, so she's really got nothing to worry about. So I'm not sure what this kind of behavior.
Are you being
is about.
secretive when she's? Do you go in the other room when you're looking at your texts, or do you do it right in front of her?
Well, let me ask you this: in the old days when you had telephones on the wall,
don't ask a question with a question. That's
the
one of
only
my
question that's not that's a bad question is the one that's not asked. Don't forget that.
It's still right across the table. I can still reach him.
If you have a telephone on the wall and you have a telephone in the other room with the old system where people aren't secretly texting people and Facebooking people and things like that, is it okay for that other person to pick up the phone and listen to your conversation while you're talking on the phone? Which is now a completely dated topic.
They used to do that back in the 1930s.
That's right, 1930s. Alexander Graham Bell started that.
Oh, no, I mean, they were called party lines.
Yeah.
So you'd be talking in your house, and your neighbors and the other neighbors, and they'd all be listening in on you. So you had to be careful what you said. It's a little different than text messaging.
Yeah, I'm listening in. Go ahead, Mabel. Clear this line, please.
Yeah, that was, come on.
Klondike 5, 6, 7, 8.
I remember Mabel.
Operator. Ahoy, ahoy. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Mabel texted me last week.
Listen, with these super natural sound effects that we have at 95.9 WATD, we're going to send off. We'd like to thank all the listeners tonight. CTA Management at rocketmail.com for any comments, emails, contests, or to find out about Shakeology. And I'd like to thank Hugh Barndollar. Thanks, Hugh.
Thanks, Brian.
Paul Kearney of Atlanta Sports Clubs.
Thanks, Brian.
And Rob Hackala from The Morning Show.
Thanks, Brian.
And you're listening to 95.9 WATD, Friends with Benefits. See you next week.
It's Tiger.